everybody. Welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night, and it is still Listener Submitted Month. This week, we are talking about Children of the Corn, Part 3, Urban Harvest, submitted to us by Joe. So here's the email that Joe sent us. He said, "Hey, guys, I've been listening to the show for over 2 years now, and I look forward to it every week. It makes my drive home from work and leaves me with a smile. Following the podcast and chatting with you guys on Facebook makes me feel like I'm part of some awesome community, and I've always wanted to email a request for a while, so here it goes. Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest. I hope you haven't covered it already because it is a wild time. Thanks for always making me laugh. Your friend Joe. P.S. Love soundtracking and would love to hear you guys discuss one of my personal favorites, Dumb and Dumber." First off, Joe, you get some type of award because this is easily the best movie that we've had to watch in a long time for Listeners Submitted on the fun factor.
Yeah. Oh, it was a goddamn blast.
It was a lot of fun, and it was even more fun because the older brother, I could not picture it as Trey Parker. The entire movie, I just pictured Trey Parker playing that character, and it made me enjoy it even more.
So also, we haven't done a soundtracking in a bit. Maybe that's something that we bring back in 2020. We've just been really busy with a bunch of stuff.
I would like to do Dumb and Dumber just for...
And there's also like those 2 or 3 like pseudo reggae songs that are on there, like Whiny Whiny and Boom Shakalaka.
Yeah,
God,
and then
so weird.
What is it? She's a vegetarian.
Oh yeah.
No, don't eat meat, but you show like the bone.
Likes the bone.
Yeah, Mary Moon. Mary Moon.
It's called New Age Girl.
It's called Mary Moon.
And it also has that song by Green Jelly, The Bear. The bear went over the mountain to see what he could see.
Dude, Green Jelly. Was that Green Jelly, or were they Green Jello when that song came out?
I'm pretty sure by 94 they were Green Jelly.
Yeah, they were jelly.
All right, so Scott, do you know what the first thing was that I saw in this movie that made me know that I was in for a good time?
The Dimension Films logo?
No, special effects by Screamin' Mad George.
Yeah,
and I was
too.
How did I miss that?
As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Oh boy!"
Yeah, and it shows he wasn't lazy on this one. Maybe one kill, but
I will say that. He may have been a little bit lazy because I'm pretty sure that corn monster at the end is some leftover props from the Curse 2, the bite.
Yeah, that's actually my only qualm with the entire movie is that the big denouement of the He Who Walks Behind the Rose, which looks like shit. But I can forgive it because the rest of the movie is so ridiculous and awesome.
Yeah, and I thought I recognized the youngest kid in it. And it was because, aside from this being his big break, he also had a huge role as Kid in Demonic Toys, which we talked about.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's the one who's like, "I'm going to live inside your vagina." That's not a direct quote, just for listeners that haven't seen Demonic.
Close enough.
So, right out the gate, I think that the scene where the corn turns the dad into a scarecrow is better than anything else in any Children of the Corn movie.
Oh, yeah.
So it's off to a good start right out. Like, as soon as it begins, you're like, all right, this ain't your daddy's Children of the Corn. I'm ready for this.
So here, I want to say a little something about Children of the Corn as a series. So I've only seen the original and this one. I've seen clips from the other ones, but haven't really had the desire to watch them, right? Because the original Children of the Corn is just kids killing people, and they never really get into the whole mythos of He Who Walks Behind the Rose, which is like an antichrist harvest figure kind of. It was like, I was always about that. Like when I first read Children of the Corn, which was before I saw the movie as a kid, because I'm a weirdo like that and read a lot of Stephen King. I was like, oh, dude, that is so sick. Like, I want to see He Who Walks Behind the Rose, because I was seeing like this fucked up scarecrow that, kind of requires sacrifices and, sinewy body, stuff like that. We don't really get that, but we get kind of close with that first kill in this movie. I mean, I think that the corn monster in this is absolute bullshit, and I don't know what they were thinking and why anyone spent any money to produce that. And I'm actually upset with Screaming Mad George for not pushing a little harder on that. But I mean,
my claymation loving ass was all about it.
It didn't look like corn. That's the thing that bothered me.
It looked, like I said, it looked like some leftover props from The Curse 2, as well as the claymation alien from Howard the Duck. Like, that's basically what the thing was.
Yep, that's exactly what I was getting. And my distaste for Howard the Duck knows no bounds. So here we are.
I will say that one of the downsides to this movie is that this movie would be even better than it currently is if Eli wasn't such a terrible actor. Like that kid,
oh yeah.
Like he hurts every time he talks, he hurts the movie.
Yeah, but it's okay because so much of this movie makes no sense that you can Scott Roger it. You can Scott Roger him talking, and I didn't. Like a fool. I didn't take my own advice.
So, did you guys catch the 2 pseudo-celebrity cameos that are literally just extras in this movie? It's a before they were famous type situation. So, one of the followers of Eli is Charlize Theron.
No.
And,
really?
No.
And one of the kids playing basketball against the Amish kid is Xander from Buffy.
Okay.
Wow.
2 very different levels of celebrity.
Yeah.
Let's say that one of them doesn't have a drinking problem, and you can guess which one.
But see, here's the thing. Because of the time that this was shot and where their celebrity was, it's easier to catch Xander because he looks exactly like he did around that time. Yeah. So you're like, oh, that's Xander from Buffy. Whereas Charlize Theron, I had to Google it to find out where she was in that movie.
So did we watch this? We watched this on Prime or Shudder? What did we watch?
I watched it on a DVD.
Yeah, I paid for it on Amazon.
Okay, I must have paid for it on Amazon as well. Yes, I did. And I always look at the X-ray, it's basically their shitty IMDb,
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I always check to see, okay, is there somebody that I know in this? And I know for a fact that Charlize Theron was not in the X-ray.
She has no lines. There would be no reason for them to even remotely mention it.
I would argue that there's just as much reason for them to put Charlize Theron as girl or like female follower 12 as they did in a couple weeks ago. We watched something and I looked at the X-ray. It was Amityville, and it was Angelina Jolie, girl in car, and I didn't see her. I looked, I did not see her.
So the movie starts off. The 2 kids have their dad killed by corn and turned into a scarecrow.
Yeah, okay. So here's a question: which one's a better kill, this one or Harold in Scary Stories?
Oh, Harold for sure, but this one's got some cool gore to it.
Yeah.
This whole movie had I explained it to someone as it's a fun movie if you're feeling nostalgic for that Tales from the Crypt type kill. Everything could have been in an episode of Tales from the Crypt kill wise.
It's because every kill is supposed to be something that they're doing or something that is integral to their character. Very odd choice, but I mean it works.
Yeah, it's Screaming Mad George is the entertainment behind this movie because
100%.
It was a boring ass movie, but I think I fell in love with the woman that tried to light a cigarette and then the flame shot in her mouth.
Yeah,
that was probably my favorite death in the whole movie.
Dude, that face melt was so intense and mean spirited for this movie. What they did right with this movie is that they know that this movie is going to be sold on its kills, so they make sure that there is a good kill every couple minutes.
Yeah, they are fairly. I mean, there's about 30 to 40 minutes of but other than that, there's a kill every few minutes.
Oh, and that's what's so funny is that when you see kill compilations that are gnarliest kills or weirdest kills or this is the kill that you need to know from Children of the Corn Urban Harvest, it's always Malcolm when he gets.
I love Malcolm's decapitation when he gets his whole spine stretched all the way out. And
by the way, that's the longest spine in the world.
Oh, it's so absurd. I love it. That's the highlight of the movie for me. I love that kill.
Well, that's the one that everybody shows, but in my opinion, it's not the best.
Yeah.
We'll get there in a second. There was a moment that I literally screamed Jesus Christ out loud while I was watching it. But before we get to any of that, so the kids are now relocated into Chicago, and that's where they meet their new adoptive family.
So here's the thing about adoption. They they didn't vet these fucking kids before placing them in this adoptive home.
No, they
it's not
stepped
even
off
like they got
bus into
fostered.
the house. Yeah.
And they're like, we've never met these kids before. They're going to live with us until they're 18. So weird.
And that's where Mr. Porter gives them, his I'd buy his pizza eating instructional video, honestly, where he's like, no, you take it, you fold it, and you shove it in. It's like,
but you also are missing the fact that we have a Child's Play 2 reference right before that, where he's like, Joshua, please put that down. It's very expensive.
Yeah.
And like the kid comes to the house, the halfway house, whatever it is, and Child's Play
and the
2.
glass falls and
yeah,
is the noise. Also, the Amish kid goes out there and plays basketball, and for a split second, I thought I was watching the Amish Paradise music video because it seemed like it was straight out of there.
Dude, how much happier would you have been? Well, okay, let me rephrase this. How much happier on a daily basis would you be if you were watching the Amish Paradise music video?
All day, every day. If I could live in a music video, it would be the Amish Paradise music video.
I'm surprised it wouldn't be a Real Big Fish video.
I mean, that would also be fun. So one of the things that's super dated in this movie is the effect of corn reappearing on the stalks.
Oh, yeah. But here's the thing is that... So my feelings as an Ohioan were very roller coaster for this movie because that first scene where I'm like, this is a waste of good corn is the last time you see real corn. The rest is shitty fucking... Like when he opens up his little suitcase and it's just full of plastic corn. Ridiculous. But then so there's a later part where you do actually see some real corn where Mr. Porter, the dad, he sees the that urban harvest, like that this fallow ground that Joshua planted his seed in, which I will, you don't cut that, keep that in. Joshua, the 12-year-old, planted his seed, and in 2 weeks they have fully formed corn ready to eat, and the dad takes it off the vine and fucking takes a bite of it like a savage. No one in the history of eating corn, no one in the last 100 years of eating fucking corn in North America has been like, let me chew on some raw corn kernels. No, it's not good. It's awful.
Oh, honey, this is the real deal. It's like got blood on his gums.
This doesn't taste like pure starch at all.
So I think my favorite person eating corn that made me laugh in this movie is the old homeless man sitting there eating his corn. And it's just like he's sitting there eating the corn, and then just a piece of like corn stalk grabs him and he screams and it cuts away. And I laughed so hard.
That's not the funniest thing that guy did in this movie, though.
Oh, dude, when his little like decapitated head is just nomming on that dude's arm.
Oh man, there are so many incredible parts of this movie.
This movie is so insane. So I will say that the death that really fucked me up.
It's the mom, isn't it?
It's that mom. So there's the dramatic slow motion fall, which made me laugh. But then she just falls back of her head into that pipe, and I literally screamed "Jesus Christ" when it happened.
Yeah. I
didn't expect it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, this is going to be one of those. She makes it out, because I thought that the kid liked her, and then when you kill the fucking mom, because you knew the dad was going to die because he was a prick, but when you kill the new mom, you're like, oh, okay, everyone gets to die in this movie. And so it was kind of a nice surprise, because so few movies, especially from this time period, surprise us, because this is our bread and butter. Yeah, it was.
And then like just the water coming out of her mouth, and then it cuts back later and it's blood and water mixed together coming out of her mouth. And
that actually is one of the most gruesome kills I think that we've seen this year.
Oh, for sure.
2019. I think that and we've watched some gruesome shit, but like that one is the one that really, I think it's because it's so somber. After she dies, you just see like that blood and water coming out of the faucet that got stuck in the back of her head.
Because you think that normally it would cut away. You'd see her fall towards the pipe, cut away, and then you're at the funeral scene. But like they really linger on it. The only thing that ruins it is the weird zoom in on his little cartoon drawing on his desk.
Oh yeah, whatever.
Well, yeah,
I can live with it.
A few of those shots. There's
like
shots where someone mentions him or looks at him, and it's just like doom, 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 and it's like just gets closer to his eyeballs. It looks like a fucking Law and Order SVU type transition.
Well, and then the other big thing that I had with this movie is that Marissa's parents, when her parents, or Maria's parents, when their faces just fucking rip open, filled with bugs.
Yeah, that was a very Halloween 3 Season of the Witch.
You gotta stop making references. I keep scratching off double features. You said Child's Play 2. I'm like, all right, well, at least I got Halloween 3.
Oh, you were really, really... Okay, so this is the thing that everybody needs to know, is that Matt he's not very good at hiding his emotions. And the fact that the last 2 or 3 times that I've stolen your concepts for double features, and you've been like, yeah, okay, you act like it's not a big deal, but then the truth is that you're lying to me, and you're lying to everyone.
Well, it's because now at this point, I will tell you that I tend to have about 2 or 3 double features written down because I expect that you're either going to steal them when it comes time or just name drop them in the middle, casually name drop them.
It's because I have no feelings.
No. Anyway, so yeah, it was like Halloween 3, the perfect double feature for this movie. But then, yeah, we get to, this is when the whole, I wrote down fuck yes to the cord monster. I get that Scott's a fuck no to the cord monster, but can we both appreciate that it does turn into like Carrie 2 level of massacre in the middle of the cornfield?
Oh, yeah, it's nuts. It is straight everybody. But the funny thing is, because people are dying, getting eaten, or they're getting eviscerated. When the people that get eaten, I guess only one person gets eaten, Maria, and he cuts her out. It is so gooey that I should have known that it was Screaming Mad George, because it is. He used literally 5-gallon buckets of goo on each scene.
We talked about it last week with Pieces, but like just the way that blood is spraying every which way every time that someone gets killed. It makes no sense. Mm-hmm. The one thing that I think really dates this movie is the fireball CGI.
Well, there are 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
There's the woman who gets her face melted off, and that's like kind of... I thought that was funny, and I laughed when that happens, but I also was a bit disappointed because the actual face melting is a good practical effect that is kind of lost within that shitty 1993 CGI.
Yeah, and it ebbs and flows, but all in all, this movie, like, I'm glad that someone made me watch this movie, because this is a movie that I definitely would not have watched on my own.
Oh, hell no, I wouldn't have either.
Absolutely not.
Like, so, people who are listening and wondering, why don't they pick my movies? Send us more movies like this.
Yeah, I feel like we said this last time we did Listener Submitted Month. What the fuck was the movie that we did that we were like, yeah, send us more like this? Like, I don't remember, but in any case, there's always one. And but then we also, I always probably strong arm you guys into watching something that's a total piece of shit. So it evens out. But here's also a little wizard behind the curtain as far as people suggesting this movie, is that this wasn't just suggested by one person. We picked it, and then we got a late submission from, I want to say, Thomas, right? That said,
Thomas suggested it, but then also what was happening was that Kyle has been doing that thing on Instagram where he's been he's been watching movies that he's owned but never got around to watching. Mm-hmm. And he messaged me directly and was like, yo, dude, if you haven't done an episode on Children of the Corn 3, I just watched this shit and it is fucking wild.
Yeah, this is such an HMN movie. Like, it's not, it has all the hallmarks of the stuff that we crave, but it also is not as much, there's not as much rewatch potential for it, like a full rewatch, as, say, The Kindred or Slumber Party Massacre 2, stuff that really gets my juices flowing, my goo going, I guess.
Yeah, but it definitely wasn't a one and done for me. Like, I will revisit this movie at some point in my life.
Sure, I just feel like I'll Scott Roger it, like I'll be like, yeah, this is good, but I don't really care about anything except for the kills. Yeah. Whereas something like Slumber Party Massacre 2, you care about all of it because it's all just insane.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
So I have a couple things that I have that we kind of skipped over. There's a rap with a banjo riff in that pickup b-ball game where Eli and Joshua, I think.
Well,
Eli's the kid. Joshua's his older brother, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's showing the two cultures coming together, Scott. That's what's happening there.
It's
symbolic.
It does not age well, all right, at all. And then there's, oh man, I don't know why I wrote this down, but I think that I wrote this down thinking it'd be funny that I forgot the context. But there's also a line where your Bible is no match for mine, which I thought was kind of fun.
Yeah, that was a good line.
But that's when the priest why is the teacher a priest? Because it's not a Christian, it's not a Catholic school, right?
I don't know. I assumed it was.
I thought so too, but none of the kids are wearing uniforms, and they don't. I mean, yeah, they go into chapel, but there's only one teacher who's a priest. Maybe it was just low production value, but
yeah, I was gonna say low. I would say that their goal was that it was a Catholic school.
Gotcha. Yeah, well, here's the thing I do really like about his death, but is also absolutely ridiculous, is that he is, an inversion. He's like upside down crucifixion. Eli, the kid, the younger one, leaves him there, and then I guess Joshua and Malcolm or Maria, I can't remember. They find the priest, and he's like he's either dead or dies in their arms. I don't know, but he's no longer upside down crucified, and there's no damage to him. He just kind of dies, which I was like, wait, did that actually happen, or was that all in his head? So that was odd. I don't know why this keeps coming back. When the mom is putting clothes on the older son, she's like, I fucking him.
I mean, he ain't blood.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how you're supposed to adopt kids.
Look, you saw what her husband's like. I get it. She's like, he'll be 18 next year.
Oh, God.
All right. So double features. How about you guys go first? And Scott's already taken most of mine.
I'm going to go lazy. Children of the Damned.
Which one, though?
You mean Village of the Damned?
No, Children of the Damned. It was a movie released in 1997.
All right.
What?
No, is this some Village of the Damned from was it the 1960s, the black and white one?
Yeah, that's Village of the Damned.
Yeah.
Oh my
Children
God.
of the Damned may have been the Simpsons name of the show of the movie when they did that.
Yeah. The
Or some black metal band, I don't know. But I meant Village.
All right, Scott.
I'm going really literal. I am going to pair this with Hellraiser 3: Hell on Earth, because I think that Hellraiser 3 is the best Hellraiser as far as rewatchability for my taste, because it's absolutely absurd. It's not a good film, but it just looks so fun, and I think that would be a really good time. Also, I think that they might both be from the same year.
No, but they're damn close.
Yeah, okay.
And then I will just take one of the many that Scott stole from me earlier. And I'll just say Halloween 3. I think Halloween 3 is a good... I would absolutely watch both of these in late October. So, now we're past all that. Go see this movie. Let's talk about some other things that we've seen that we highly recommend. I'm going to go first on this one just because I've got two quick ones to knock through that are, at the time that we're recording, in theaters. If they'll still be in theaters at this point in September, who knows? But I saw two movies that both made it very quickly into my top 10 of the year. One of them actually became my number one of the year. So I saw Blinded by the Light, which is a film based on a true story about a Pakistani kid growing up in London at the peak of a neo-Nazi resurgence. And how he finds solace in the music of Bruce Springsteen to make him believe in himself and chase his dreams and fight for what he believes in and stand up for his rights as a Pakistani. What I liked about this movie is, even though I'm kind of like mixed bag on Bruce Springsteen, the movie really does capture that magical moment in your childhood when you hear music that speaks to you for the first time, when it's not just your parents' music, but something where you're like, oh, this feels like it was written distinctly for me. So that was really magical. But the movie that skyrocketed to my number one was The Peanut Butter Falcon, which I had heard nothing about. And then a coworker was like, yo, you should see Peanut Butter Falcon this week. It's supposed to be great. and I went in completely blind, not knowing anything about the movie, and it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen, honestly. It's starring Shia LaBeouf, Dakota Johnson, and Thomas Hayden Church. And the story behind the scenes is that the writers of the movie befriended a kid with Down syndrome who wanted to be an actor, but no one would cast him because he had Down syndrome. So they wrote a movie specifically for him. And it's a retelling of like Tom and Huck, but with Shia LaBeouf playing this, loner with no family, and the kid with Down syndrome plays a kid who's obsessed with wrestling. He escapes from the house that he's at to chase down his dreams of becoming a wrestler, and meets up with Shia LaBeouf, and they go on an adventure together to try to get to the wrestling school. And it's just very sweet. It's very charming. It's very funny. It just has a very storybook style to it that I highly recommend.
Nice.
Yeah.
I have no desire to watch it because I don't want to cry, but I'm glad that you enjoyed your time.
Oh, I will say this one line that made me laugh was, they're trying to get him to wrestle as a heel, and they say, when you get in that ring, you say the meanest, most awful thing you can imagine to the guy in that ring. And he's like, okay. And he walks in, he's like, hey, you're not invited to my birthday party. And like charges at him. And I was like, this is adorable. Like, it's just so cute. All right, Brian or Scott, go ahead.
Me and Jade binge watched season 2 of Mindhunter, and it was just as great as season 1. And I love it so much. And if you haven't watched the show, watch it.
I've only heard good things, not just from you, but just in general.
Mm-hmm.
And Brian, completely unrelated, but have you heard any of the music by Michael Scott, but Scott with a $sign?
I have not.
It's someone just does 90s, like late 90s or early 2000s pop punk songs, but all of the lyrics are just quotes from Michael Scott on the album.
That's awesome.
All right, so I got one for you guys
right.
that
Strapped in.
I know for a fact Brian has not seen, but maybe Matt has. Shazam.
Yes.
Oh man, Megan and I watched that. Well, so this is
it's the best DC movie possibly ever, in my opinion.
I liked it better than Wonder Woman, and that's saying a lot because I fucking loved Wonder Woman. So this is how this came to be. I woke up one day and I was like, I really want to watch Shazam. I wonder if it's on VOD. I checked and it wasn't yet. So I just kind of put that on the back burner. Literally that same day, like that night after I got home from work, Megan asks me out of the blue, hey, do you want to watch Shazam? I'm like, what? Are you fucking with me? Because she doesn't like superhero movies. So she was like, yeah, I love Zachary Levi because he was in season 2 of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is one of our favorite shows. And she must know him from some other stuff too. And she was like, it looks really cute. And so we rented it and laughed the entire time. It was so fun and funny. And it didn't really, it could have been maybe 15 minutes shorter. And I wasn't super stoked on what they set up for the next Shazam as like the big bad, but I'm okay with it because I think that it's going to bring in Black Adam. And
yeah.
Matt, so you saw it, right?
So I will say 2 things. One, I do like the setup just because it says so much about where we are with comic book movies that we can go that absurd for like the next villain.
Mr. Mind is like okay, so this is the thing, is that they would never have been able to do that without Marvel picking some obscure shit, but I think that none of the bad guys that Marvel has picked have been quite as ridiculous as a hyper intelligent talking caterpillar. I'm excited just to see where they go with that. When Shazam came out, the thing that I remembered was everyone being like, finally, a superhero movie that the whole family can watch. And I was like, there's people getting their heads ripped off by hell demons in this movie. Yeah, but it's also, it's fun. You know, they're getting their heads ripped off, but there's no blood. As long as there's no titties, kids can watch it.
That is true. But yeah, no, it's a blast. It's very, I think it might actually, I haven't looked at my list in a bit, but if it's not it might not be in my top 10 anymore, but it was hanging in there for a while because it was just a purely fun experience.
Yeah, and that's hard because I had not really thought about whether it would be in my top 10 or not. But it was such an enjoyable film. It just seems so popcorn that I would have a hard time putting it in my top 10. But then again, why do we watch film, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. I stopped, when I do the list for Geekscape each year, I stopped doing best films of the year and do favorite films of the year, because for me, it's like the best films of the year are going to be the ones that get those Oscar nominees most of the time. They're good movies, and one or two of them will usually make it into my top 10. But at the end of the day, the movies that are my absolute favorites are the ones that, like, I just want to keep going back and watching again and again and again. And most of the time, heavy dramas are not things that I want to revisit that much.
Yeah,
I want to smile and laugh. Like,
yeah, but also, I guess that what I'm getting at is that there's a thin line between wanting to smile and laugh and also wanting there to be a little bit of meat on the bone, right?
Yeah.
You know, like,
because
my favorite horror movies from last year were, I mean, I wouldn't put Hereditary as my favorite. I would say it was the best that I saw because it was so visceral, but it's a drama. I said that Mom and Dad was my favorite because Mom and Dad had a lot of comedy, but it was also, like you said, it's something you can go back and watch a bunch of times, and it's entertainment, but it doesn't feel quite as hollow as Shazam did, and that might just be my age.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's too old.
Well, and I think that's the thing. I find that a lot of times the movies that end up being the ones that I really truly love year after year after year are the ones that really make me laugh, really make me smile, but still have just enough of that drama where I feel like I connect with the source material. And that's the one thing that does hurt Shazam, is that I'm not connecting with Shazam. I'm just having a good time watching it. Yeah. But yeah, if I was 14 when that came out, that shit would be my life. Shazam, like, I was like, this movie rules. His best friend is awesome. Like,
oh yeah. Oh, and that's is he Eddie in it? Which character?
Yeah. He's Eddie. I'm pretty sure Eddie Spaghetti. But yeah, I mean, and he's got a lot of Night of the Creeps vibes. You know what I mean? The best friend from there, who's also like wisecracking and has a disability when it comes to his legs. So like,
yeah, and I think that's, let's like contrast how they dealt with that in Shazam versus how they dealt with that in Child's Play.
Yeah,
you know, like they did a really great job in Shazam of having the best friend's disability be kind of like an important plot point, you know, a character piece. And
it means nothing.
Play,
it's like, just there for the Bluetooth. It's only there for Chucky talking directly to him in the Bluetooth. That's the only purpose for his hearing issue. But yes, so that was Children of the Corn 3 Urban Harvest from 1995. Submitted to us by Joe. Joe, thank you. You win the golden toilet of the September pick. The movie we'd most want to flush again. So you can always send us your movie picks at hmnpodcast@gmail.com. But listener submitted month is not over just yet. We have one more episode, and it was recorded live at the Creature Feature Weekend. Brian wasn't there, but our friend Joshua was there. It's going to be a good time. If you follow us on our Facebook, you already know what movie we talked about. So, you know, for those who don't follow us on Facebook, it'll still be a surprise to y'all. But join us on all of our social media at HMN Podcast and our website, hmnpodcast.com. And you can always donate to our Patreon at patreon.com/HMN Podcast. I'm stumbling over my words. All right, bye.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.